We begin another week. Amidst so much informational rubble, welcome to this corner where reality isn't dressed up, it's shown raw as it is today. Without a doubt, the news isn't that the sun came up, but that Mexico has been shaken since yesterday. One of those that makes more than one public official lose their composure. Join me as we take a look at all the details about the fall of Señor de los Gallos, about the Tapalpa operation. Divine justice or home delivery? From Washington? Let's get to it. Sunday, February 22, 2026 will go down in history, not because of the efficiency of our institutions, which we already know are slower than a turtle with rheumatism, but because, finally, after a decade of supposedly playing hide-and-seek, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, decided it was time to stop being the world's most expensive ghost. In the early morning, with helicopters that were not exactly for routine surveillance and intercepted communications in the mountainous area of Tapalpa, Jalisco, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel went from being the top target to being just a name on a death certificate. But let's not buy the story that this was some epiphany from our national intelligence. Let's break down this political corpse. Uncle Sam played the music and we just danced. The official version tells us it was a special forces raid, a shootout, and BAM, the top boss, went down. But the detail that many forget to mention, and that we're throwing in your face here, is that there was coordination with the United States at all times. Let's not pretend we're sovereign. Washington keeps pushing the narrative that drug trafficking is still on the rise, that it's leaving more dead than a world war, and the name of the Jalisco criminal organization appears in Drug Enforcement Administration reports as the main player. The pressure from the United States government to dismantle the cartels it designated as terrorists is so strong that the Mexican government had to take action. Was it a national operation? No, I don't think so. It was more like, you do it, but do it now, or we'll go in ourselves. But let's talk about the franchise empire, beyond a charismatic leader. If you think that just because they took down Mencho, his organization is going to disappear, let me tell you, you're a naive and innocent citizen. The Jalisco New Generation isn't a cartel with just one boss. It's a decentralized corporation, a criminal franchise that's better structured and organized than the Mexican government itself. These guys diversified their business better than any Silicon Valley startup. Synthetic drugs, fentanyl and methamphetamine, with Amazon-level logistics, fuel theft, control of strategic pipelines, agribusiness, charging protection fees for planting on fertile land, money laundering, from tourist developments to cockfighting arenas and shows. Killing the chief executive officer doesn't break the company if the operating system remains intact, and that system is called territorial control and local complicity. Here comes the $15 million question literally. Why did he fall right now? For years, the Jalisco Nueva Generación, he recorded videos with homemade armor and armies of uniformed men, making the September 16th parade look like a children's birthday party. No one saw them. The Attorney General's office was very busy, playing solitaire. Reality is uncomfortable. For an empire like that to grow in plain sight, infiltration is needed at all three levels of government. Either the state was incapable, or there was a deliberate omission, or simply the protection networks were so strong that Mencho slept more peacefully than a congressman during a session. What's next? Well, a good while where we'll see the vultures feast, because now comes the fun part. The succession without a dynastic heir, because Menchito is well locked up. In an American prison, the throne is left vacant. On the list of candidates are names like Double R, El Jardinero, or El Sapo. This leaves us with three possible scenarios: an orderly succession, which is boring for the press but efficient for crime; violent fragmentation, the scenario where the territories become war zones and we end up with the casualties; silent reconfiguration, a change of leadership without much noise, but with the same filth. So if you thought we had already seen it all, hold on to your pants, because the plot is about to get thicker than the smoke from the narco blockades. Let's take a closer look at this little gift they left for Chacha del Bienestar, because we need to see who's rubbing their hands together and who's breathing a sigh of relief. Because a dead man, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't speak in the New York courts. Here comes the question. Was this a case of state capture or a home delivery of evidence cleanup? Ruben Nemesio, also called Ceguera Cervantes or El Mencho, has already delivered the equipment. But don't think this was a superhero movie where good triumphs. This has more layers than a rotten onion. And here I bring you the scalpel. Let's start first with Claudia's sigh and the silence of the godfathers. They say he died on the plane, wounded on the way to Mexico City. How convenient. A dead man can't be extradited, can't sit in front of an American judge, and above all, can't spill the beans about those who protected him, since he appeared on the main stage among the biggest kingpins Mexico has given to the world, as well as those who remained his accomplices, sitting in the highest spheres of power in the Morena government. Claudia Sheinbaum catches a break amid pressure from Donald Trump. In some dark corner of La Chingada, in Palenque, and in the offices of the former secretaries of the Interior, a collective sigh of relief can be heard. People like Andrés Manuel López Obrador, Adán Augusto López, and even Miguel Ángel Osorio Chong must be celebrating that El Mencho will no longer be able to testify. Like with El Chapo or El Mayo, once the dog is dead, the rabies is gone. I doubt it, but at least the uncomfortable confessions are over, which I think was the priority. Who invited to the party? The statement from the armed forces is a poem to exclusion. They mention the Sedena, the National Guard, the National Intelligence Center, but, oh, surprise, they forgot to mention the Secretary of the Navy, who happens to guard the area where he was caught. And let's not mention Omar Garcia Jarfuch, who could only post a short congratulatory tweet, like the distant cousin not invited to the wedding. Is there some kind of internal ego war, or did they just not want certain sectors to find out about the operation until the target was completely secured? This is where Uncle Sam's advice comes in. Version 2.0. The Ministry of Defense admits there was immunity, additional information, or intelligence from the United States. But if we dig a little deeper, sites like Borderland Beat and outlets like American Broadcasting Company News claim that the involvement was much more than just guidance. There is talk of direct training by the United States Navy to the Mexican commandos and the use of geolocation equipment, the kind we only see in movies here. Christopher Landau, the former ambassador now serving as Marco Rubio's right-hand man, congratulated everyone, but didn't specify their level of involvement. The message is clear. Washington aimed, Mexico pulled the trigger, and both benefit, but for very different reasons. As usual, Shame Voltrufia has her head in the clouds. The most terrifying thing about this crazy Sunday wasn't just the fall of the boss, but the security vacuum around the lady. While the country was burning in Jalisco, Michoacán, and Guanajuato, after the capture, Mrs. Claudia kept touring Coahuila as if she were on a picnic. Why wasn't there an immediate extraction protocol? Why did they leave her exposed to revenge from some boss who might have felt betrayed? While the United States Embassy was issuing red alerts for its citizens and airlines like Air Canada were suspending flights, in Presachakis' security circle, it seemed like they were watching a different channel. Instead of addressing the nation and giving preventive instructions to prioritize the safety of citizens in all the states of the Republic, where chaos reigned, right? The lady decided to smile at the camera and say, "The security cabinet will simply give its report. A negligence that, if not for luck, would have cost us an even greater national tragedy. But Washington will judge this apparent success by indicators, not by a photo of the corpse. Overdose deaths are down, seizures at the border are down. If in a few months everything stays the same, the Tapalpa operation will have been just a fireworks show to calm Uncle Sam. And Donald Trump knows this very well, which is why he sent a message on his social network basically saying that this wasn't enough, because what he wants are the heads of narco-politicians, those who allow organized crime to keep breathing. Because it doesn't matter how many kingpins they catch, extradite, or execute, as long as there is protection from those in power, this will never end. In other words, they're just fooling themselves, and us along the way. In conclusion, Mexico didn't clean its house. Mexico just took out a bag of trash because the neighbor complained about the smell and told them what to do. The real test isn't about how many shots were fired in Jalisco, but about how many bank accounts will be frozen and how many politicians will end up behind bars. Because criminals don't prosper on their own, they thrive where the law is sold to the highest bidder. And that's exactly what I doubt will change. Claudia Sheinbaum isn't willing to hand over the big fish, because she knows that her own head, as well as her bosses, the old patas meadas, is at risk. Anyway, dear cultured and knowledgeable audience, today Mexico woke up with one less kingpin and 40% of its territory in dispute due to the power vacuum. The press inepta is happy, Trump is pleased, And the former protectors are calm, because the dead file is, well, already dead. Don't be fooled by the shine of the metals. The tail lash of this monster is just beginning, and we'll be here to tell you about it with our usual sharpness. So don't get too excited about the headline. Tomorrow there will be another name, another logo, but the same mud. I told you and I stand by it. See you when reality slaps us in the face again. I'll read your comments. Remember that you can make your donations via PayPal. You can find the information in the comment box. Thanks to you, this channel stays active. It's very important to subscribe, like, and press the bell to receive notifications every time there's new content. Thank you.